This is Matt Bradley-Tschirgi with some more monkey news on Return to Monkey Island. There was a recent interview. Let me fix this little graphic here. There we go. There was a recent interview on Ars Technica where Ron Gilbert was interviewed, and it has some more information than what we know before, and sort of a continuance of my last news update. That was a Eurogamer interview. So I'm just going to kind of hit the highlights and give my commentary and so forth. If you like what you see, please give me a follow, twitch.tv/MATWBT. There's my cats meowing in the background. Rest assured they have plenty of water. They just like to try to get breakfast as early as possible. All right, so it talks about here, Ron Gilbert had been wanting to do a third Monkey Island game for a while, and it was the game development company Devolver Digital, publisher Devolver Digital came to him, and Ron Gilbert said his number one concern was the weight of expectations. Was that really something I wanted to take on? Which is a great point. It's been, if not 30 years, damn close to it, since the last Monkey Island game he worked on came out, and people have been fans on websites like Mix and Mojo and all these things. Have been talking about, the long fabled third Monkey Island game. Was there a script for it? What was the plan? What was it going to be? And I think now that we are getting one, even though it's going to take the other canon into effect from the other games for what it's worth. Although keep in mind the Monkey Island games are comedy games, so it's probably will make jokes about inconsistent canon. There is a lot of pressure about this game, and it's going to get, I think, extra scrutiny in a way that perhaps isn't fair. Like had Ron Gilbert done Monkey Island 3 after Monkey Island 2 and then left LucasArts at that point, that would have been its own thing. And here with all the time later, think of it with movies. You're seeing stuff like The Matrix 4, or it's not Revolutions. God, all the Matrix titles are confusing. Whatever the fourth one is, I actually really like that one. It was like 20 years, it was like 10, 15 years after the original. With the Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace was, like 16 years after the original. You have this build-up of fan expectations that I think in some ways you can never meet. You just have to make the game you're going to make, and if people like it or not, that's up to them. And, people might like something, people might not. And that's sort of you make your game or write your book and send it off, and the public ultimately decides if it's successful, and marketing can help with that. But at the end of the day, it needs to be a good game. And what I like about this is it talks about Ron Gilbert talked to his fellow collaborator Dave Grossman on this about, should we revisit it? And this was a concern. Do we have a good idea? Can we move forward? Do we have a story that fits the legacy? I love that question. I think, do we have a story that fits the legacy? Really, really speaks to how much they care about Monkey Island as a property, and also how much they care about that time way back when they were working at LucasArts doing things like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the adventure game, and all that stuff. It really shows they want to take care into this game, and I think we'll see, even though this screenshot we see here in the article is something from the little teaser, that it was just very brief glimpse with the Murray the Skull from the third game, and I think he was in all the games after the third one, maybe. It's been a while, and I'll be streaming these the older Monkey Island games. It'll be fun to see what I laugh at now versus what I laughed at as a kid, and all that. So yeah, Murray, and I think this teaser kind of got people off on a wrong foot because it didn't have Guybrush, it didn't have, but that's the definition of a teaser. It's supposed to get people talking about something. Excuse me, my cat loves to try and bite into my monitor cord for no reason. This is the guilty culprit, Picard. Yeah. You cannot bite monitor cables. Thank you. All right. So as we're going through this article, it is Dave Grossman is mentioning, they kind of had a a weekend to kick around some rough ideas before agreeing they actually want to go forward with it, which is a pretty massive undertaking. And they said they want to have something to say with the new game, which is important. You know, Monkey Island is not just jokes. It is a comedy adventure game, but it does have characters. It does have humor, and you can have, you know, satire in there as well. And I wonder what it will say about how many games are remade these days or done with updated versions. You can have that with the Monkey Island special editions for 1 and 2, and how to do it. I think that's quite something. So it mentions, you know, since Disney acquired LucasArts and Lucasfilm and Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all that stuff, they Ron Gilbert had several discussions with Disney, and he was assured he got full creative freedom on this new Return to Monkey Island game, which is a great point. I think this is basically what he wanted. And Disney also had some feedback, and some of it was good feedback that they took into consideration, which you always want to do with working with a business partner. You know, there's the dreaded executive notes, and yet there can be useful things that come out of it. And at the end of the day, you know, you can follow some stuff, you can follow not stuff, and everything in life is a compromise. But he said he's very happy that Disney allowed him to build the game I wanted to build. Looking back, looking forward. And they talked about off the bat they wanted to do, Ron Gilbert says, one of the things we really talked about, do we want to do Monkey Island as a throwback game with pixel arts and 1992 sensibilities, or do we want something that looks forward? And very quickly, David, he's talking about Dave Grossman, and I came to the conclusion we really wanted to build a game that was looking forward. So Dave Grossman adds this quote, which I think is a good point. It's a new Monkey Island game rather than another Monkey Island game, which is a subtle distinction. Making it the same but better is always the challenge. Right. I mean, and well, you know, I think had they done more traditional pixel style artwork, maybe fans off the bat would have liked it a bit better than the new art style. I think that's also less interesting and the safer choice for this kind of a thing. There are so many adventure games, a lot of really good ones, really, you know, made by independent game developers with Adventure Game Studio that have that pixel look if that's what you want. And this is 2022, and they're going for a very stylized look. At the time Curse of Monkey Island came out, people thought that one looked like crap and were kicking and screaming about it. And now it's one of the best, you know, admired looks in the series with kind of the angular look to the art. So maybe people will say the same about this one years down the road. I think when you say Monkey Island, different people have different ideas of what you mean. So I think, and people have strong opinions, and it's been a while since there's been a Monkey Island game, and all that thoughts from the fan community really comes in there. Oh, and my cat's trying to bite another cord. I just need to... It's tricky. The litter box is in the same room as the computer thing, so hold on. Picard, do you have any thoughts on Monkey Island? No? Okay. So there's some talk in this article with Thimbleweed Park, Thimbleweed Park raised $600,000 in 2014. And was released, 5 years ago in 2017, as I just said. In the classic scum point and click, they want to say, you know, they're doing a fresh approach to the interface. And this quote from Grossman is interesting regarding the UI. While the developers weren't ready to divulge detail about how their new interface would work, Grossman hinted, philosophically, the interface is designed to sort of focus more on empowering the players to do successful things and minimize the frustration. Like, instead of just random canned responses, characters have good responses for everything. I think, so we'll see things more focused. Perhaps there's been no screenshots of the UI, but it'll be interesting to see if we have on one hand like Loom or King's Quest VII, the Princeless Bride, where you have one cursor that kind of does everything, or if it's like the full throttle thing where you right click and it brings with the different verbs you can switch between in your icon. There's a lot of different ways, or they could do something totally new, right? So I'm not sure what they want to do here, but that they even want to do something new with the UI. To me, that's promising. I would rather have something new than just have the same kind of look and style remade over and over again. This year is the main impetus for me to do this video. I thought was pretty interesting was the hint system. So it talks about Ron Gilbert is he did some research and he feels that one thing people really want in games today are built-in hint systems. And what sort of changed his mind about that over the years is the internet. In the early 90s, before internet access was widespread, getting stuck on difficult puzzles was, quote, what adventure game players expected. Today, if players don't have a built-in hint system, they're just going to jump over to the web and read a walkthrough. To prevent that, Return to Monkey Island will include a hint system that has been designed to make sense in the fantasy. It'll provide more than just a walkthrough. Okay, so what the hell does that mean? My guess would be something kind of like what we saw in the Sierra Online game Phantasmagoria, where you had a skull in the corner, and they might even do a skull here with Murray, right? You don't know, but in the Phantasmagoria game, there's a skull in the corner, and you could click him to get hints. And I think if you clicked him more, he would give you progressively bigger hints. But he also was kind of snarky, actually a lot like Murray, come to think of it, and have animated stuff with his head moving around, or maybe it's maybe they could do it with pages of a hint book for the game in the game, and you can find those and get hints. Unfortunately, this genre of game, like Return to Monkey Island, the graphic adventure is the phrase I like, but people call it straight up adventure games, and or point and clicks or all sorts of different things. Hold on, the cat's trying to eat the cable yet again. Hooray! Okay. A lot of Kit Kat interruptions. What was I going on? Yeah, I mean, the thing with these adventure games is people can watch them on streaming on Twitch and nearly have the same experience as playing the game by themselves without, having to think about the puzzles. In that case, they're just like interactive cartoons. I think the most literal genre with that definition. So it also says there'll be an easy mode that's called casual mode. This was something in Monkey Island 2. Thimbleweed Park had it. The third game, Curse of Monkey Island, had it. And it's designed for people who this is their first adventure game, or maybe, they have lives and kids now, they're older. They can play the casual mode, which is a lot of simplification of the puzzles. It's a way to get people into a point and click game if they have not done it before. More cable management, excuse me. Features like these reflect how game design players' expectations have changed since the 90s. There are more demands on players' times now. They don't tolerate frustration as they were all 30 years ago. Yeah, and they have more things to distract themselves with. They have cell phones, streaming services, all kind of, Dave Grossman has a great quote. I love this quote here. People want to be stuck only 5 minutes at a time. Interestingly, this team, although it's bigger than Thimbleweed Park, it's a few dozen people. And Ron Gilbert says, I feel having a small team is important when doing a creative endeavor. If you have a small team of people, everyone can contribute. It was like that in the original Monkey Island. Anyone on the team could throw out ideas and get stuff implemented. That's also true here. You really lose that if you have a large AAA team and have layers of people that need to approve everything. Amen to that. Yeah, totally. So they're not really focusing on where the story is going. But this is a good hint right here. Before that, I was going to talk about the easy mode. And from a game design perspective, I'm kind of mixed on it. I see why you want that there, but it's also time you could spend making more areas and more puzzles. And yet, the way the easy mode was done in Monkey Island 2, I think was pretty elegant. Worth an example, like early on was it Largo? You had to get like a muddy shirt or something, and on easy mode, it's just a clean shirt in the guy's changing room. But if it's the regular mode, you have to, pick up you have to like get a mop and dip it in the mud and put it on and take a shirt to the cleaners and do all these things to get access to the stuff you need for a voodoo doll. And but they'll probably do something similar in the new one. So, I mean, it does get more people playing it. It's just, if you have a gazillion different modes, like Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis was kind of guilty of this with like action mode and companion mode and Indiana Jones super hard mode or whatever the third one was. You're spending all this time designing stuff where you could be designing more areas to the main game or maybe refining existing puzzles. So everything's kind of give and take. But I think as this genre is it's probably more popular now than it was, thanks to the hidden object games on mobile phones and tablets and computers and things. Even the console systems, right? The Switch has a lot of those games on there. We'll just have to see how it's done. I like it when the easy modes have different jokes. That's something that happens sometimes too. So we'll see how it does, and it'll be fun to stream both those modes and kind of compare and contrast the difference when we get there, whenever the game comes out sometime this year. This part at the end is pretty neat in the article where he talks about they hint at the story obliquely. He says, and this is from Dave Grossman, I think with games in general and the Monkey Island series in particular, it has always been a bit autobiographical. We are injecting a little of ourselves, not necessarily the past, but the present, into these games. And the first one we did as fresh designers, starting out on a new career, just as Guybrush starts out in a new career of being a pirate. It's been interesting to come back to this now, that we have things that have been lingering over the past 30 years, but as creators returning to something we haven't touched in a long time, I think we brought some of that to the material itself. It's also notable that, the game, the screenshots are Melee Island from the first game. You went there and escaped from Monkey Island, the fourth one. And, some of those old places were revisited, but in a much different graphical 3D style that I don't think worked out very well, in my opinion. But as Dennis Miller used to say, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. So all of this stuff. But how have their personal lives and different games and stuff they worked on will influence the new one? It's Monkey Island. We're going to see meta jokes in there and breaking the fourth wall. That's always been part of the series. One of the jokes in the first one is never pay over $29.99 for a computer game or something like that, right? So, and I wonder if they might do what Stephen King did in the Dark Tower series. Could Ron Gilbert and Dave Grossman show up as actual characters in the game itself? Could we have some surrealism stuff going on, like that classic Daffy Duck cartoon, where the animator is painting flowers on his head and kind of manipulating the environment? I think we're going to see stuff jumping around in the timeline back and forth, given where this game starts. And if you want to see more about where Return to Monkey Island starts, you can check out my last video on that. It's really quite something. I think this is very exciting. We'll have to see where things go from here. They're doing a very deliberate kind of drip interview stuff, slightly revealing new stuff every week or so. So we'll see if they keep the cadence up, but I'll be doing these videos whenever they do. So this is Matt Bradley-Tschirgi. Hope you like this look at Return to Monkey Island from the news. Do you have any thoughts on the game? How do you think it's going to be? Do you have a favorite game in the series? Please post in the comments below, and give me a follow. All that stuff really helps. And subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/sequelcast. So anyway, I'm Matt Bradley-Tschirgi saying goodbye. Now go have a tasty banana for breakfast like they do every morning on Monkey Island.